I gave people all the stuff they really needed. Social security checks, utility bills, TV guide.
I want a TV guidance counselor. TV guidance counselor. Staying up to watch all night, and everything's gonna be alright with my TV guidance counselor.
Hey everyone, welcome to TV Guidance Counselor. I am Ken Reed, your TV Guidance Counselor, and this is the show where each and every week I discuss classic television with an interesting person, usually using an issue of TV Guide magazine as the inspiration for our conversation. This week we do a little bit, but we didn't really need it much because my guest is the fantastic Cynthia Von Buhler. Cynthia is one of the coolest people, incredibly accomplished in sort of every single art. She has a new comic book series out that she writes and draws called Mindy. It's the Minky Woodcock series, and it's The Girl Who Loved Cthulhu, I believe is the title, if I'm remembering correctly. The Girl Called Cthulhu, not The Girl Who Loved Cthulhu, although how noir is that? But they're really cool books with sort of true life, historical, like Tesla's in one, Houdini's in one, Lovecraft, very, very cool. And her art is fantastic, as is her writing. They're out on Titan Books, Titan Comics. And if you love sort of old crime, and you'll like it. If you like the stuff I like, you'll like it. But she's done music and all kinds of other things. Very, very accomplished, and used to be based in Boston years ago, which is where I first encountered her, but is now and has been for years down in New York. I think you will like this conversation quite a bit. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with the author and illustrator of the new comic on Titan Comics, Minky Woodcock, The Girl Called Cthulhu. It's Cynthia Von Buhler.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Cynthia Von Buhler, how are you?
I'm great. Nice to see you.
Thank you so much for doing this. I've wanted to have you on the show for a long time. I'm a long-time fan of all the stuff you do. We were just chit-chatting a little bit before we recorded about your Boston days, which was you were like the queen of 90s Boston art here, to me at least.
That's true. Yeah, I think that with the Boston Phoenix that I was their official mascot.
Which was a compliment.
Yes. And then there was like, at one point I was visiting from New York, and there was a massive billboard of me up, and it was for the Boston Globe, had done like a story or something, and they put like, and I was with my boyfriend at the time. He's like, what the hell is this? We didn't even know. We're just driving down the highway. I'm like, oh my God.
Not an experience most people have, where they're like, oh, that's right. There you go.
Weird.
Yeah, how strange. But you've currently your latest stuff is your comics work, but like you've done every art form, visual or performance wise, I feel like that there is. Yeah,
I consider myself an artist, and I make art in a variety of mediums.
So you grew up in the Berkshires, right, in Western Mass?
I did, yeah.
Okay, and which for people who aren't from Massachusetts, it's I guess eccentric educational weirdos, academic weirdos is kind of a good term for Western Mass to me. That's like my compliment.
Not where I'm from. That's like Northampton.
Okay.
I'm further. I was brought up in the Berkshires, but in Pittsfield, which is like the biggest town out there, and very suburban, very GE, General Electric was there. Everybody worked there. My dad was making bombs there. I mean, it was a crazy place to grow up. Pretty boring too, but yeah.
Yeah, Lou Barlow's out there from, I think, Greenfield or someone. And
this is even further than Greenfield.
Further than that.
It's like as far as you can go before you go over the mountain into New York.
Okay, that makes sense. So, and 6 kids in your family? Pretty big family.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, you do all this really cool stuff. Like you're into very cool things, and this sort of mixture of high culture, low culture. Like the latest book in the comic series is sort of noir detective, mystery, horror, alternative history, sort of, kind of all in one.
Well, actually, it's based on actual facts, but it is based on facts with like my private detective who is fictional merged in. Yeah.
And this one is, it's Cthulhu is the latest one with like Houdini, Tesla, like real people and Alestair Crowley's and it's real figures fit into these sort of stories.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, how do you get exposed to this kind of stuff way out in Western Mass in the sort of, GE military industrial suburb? Yeah.
Well, I really wasn't involved in this. Like, I was reading comics, but I was reading like romance comics and stuff when I was a little girl. But, in fact, my friend and I used to cut out the characters in the Archie's comics and then make them play and, but give them more sexual time, like,
of course.
Yeah. So I kind of was getting ready for this, like even back then. But
it's not Betty or Veronica; it's Betty and Veronica, and no,
exactly.
No
yeah. Or a lot of S&M and things like that, like tying up Archie and whatever, But yeah, so that really had me. I lived in Boston for a really long time, and I really became who I am in Boston. And I went to school in London, too. After I graduated college, I went to art school. And so London really formed me, and then Boston really formed me. But when I was living in Pittsfield, I was Cindy Carosa. I was not Cynthia Von Buhler.
Right. You hadn't come out of your pupa stage yet into the...
I was little Cindy Carosa, yeah.
But you were still interested in art and comics, and like you went to art school, like it.
I did. No, when I was growing up, my whole family is really artistic, and we were always making art and always working on art. I knew I wanted to be an artist even back then. I mean, I won my first art award when I was in grammar school, and I definitely was very artistic, and I'm from a very artistic family. My parents are both from the Bronx of New York. So they're New Yorkers. So I'm always been kind of a New Yorker, even though I grew up in Massachusetts.
Right.
And now I am a New Yorker because I live in Manhattan.
Yes. I mean, so many people, like that's the thing about, having grown up in Boston, there's so many people who, even if they didn't grow up here, like they're sort of artistic voices usually formed here, whether it's stand-ups or musicians or, and then they go back to where they came from or they move up. So it's got a weird, it's always a weird sort of viral piece of their DNA later.
Yeah, it really is. I love Boston. I was there for so long, and it really, they're so supportive. Like the press and the people and the fans. Like, that's the thing. You go off to New York, it's very different. It's more, I don't know, but Boston, still to this day, they're so supportive, It was like a wonderful place for me to kind of evolve and become who I wanted to be as an artist.
And I found that in people in so many different art forms, too. Like, my most facetious way to say it is, like, Boston is where you can go and get good without people, like, bothering you.
With them being supportive and not like pulling you through the mud too soon when you probably should be. Like I should have been with my band, right? Like,
I think I saw you guys with Thrill Kill Cult, I want to say, probably.
Oh, yeah. We played with My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult in New York, actually, at the Roseland Ballroom. It was like, I think the Sextasy Ball. That was a pretty big show.
Did you ever play with the Genitorturers? Why am I remembering?
I think so.
Yeah,
we played with War. We played with Genitorturers, I think. Sleep Chamber.
Popping into my head for some reason.
So, I think we did. I can't remember. We played so many shows.
But that was not like your calling. Like you were like, it was more of an art project, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a singer, and I was the singer of that band, but I can't really sing. So it was, it was more talk singing and performance, and it was really fun. And I learned I can't sing, but I was a good performer, and I was good at putting on a stage show. Like it was a lot of people on stage, and it was very much like, it was theater, really. Yeah,
you had to see it live. It was like, not a thing that you, if you listen to it removed from the live show, it was more like a soundtrack than like, it was doing its own almost, right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the thing that's interesting, though, is now, even though it came out so long ago, now if you listen to it, it still sounds kind of modern, so it's kind of held up.
Yeah, it was that sort of industrial, vaguely sort of gothy sort of stuff always feels like out of time.
It was sort of weird. We like they would put us with like dark bands, but we were kind of like tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
I was making fun of it, I wasn't serious. So all these other bands like Jenna Tortures and, Sleep Dream, but they're really serious about it. And I was just, like experimenting and having fun. And some people took it really seriously, but it's really funny that it was really just, using it to express myself artistically and what I was thinking at the time,
Yeah. I mean, it came across so kind of like, isn't this all kind of silly? But in a good way, like not like in a way that a good parody does, where it's coming from a place of love of that thing.
Yeah, definitely. That's I think so. I think that I'm glad you saw it that way. I think some people did, but some people really thought like, and some people were really mad when I quit the band and I said, hey, this is it. I'm going to go do other things. Like they wanted this to define me for my whole life. And I did not want that to define me for my life. It was something I kind of fell into and wanted to explore for a while. But
yeah, it's just like it's a project. You're not doing the same project all the time. Like you kind of want to move on to new things or different stuff. Like it makes sense to me. Where did you go to art school in London?
I went to the Richmond College. They have a campus in Kensington, like an American school there. So I went there for a year and studied art. I studied painting and I actually studied music too. I studied like modern popular music in London. So I learned a lot about music, British music. I know a lot about British culture. I'm really an Anglophile. Yeah. And it's funny because my publisher is Titan Comics and they're in England.
Yes.
So I really belong in England. I should have been born there, not in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. But.
Although New England, close. But I'm the same way. I went to Goldsmiths in South London.
Okay.
When I first went to London, I was like, this feels like a part of Boston I've never been to before. Like, this is way more comfortable than when I've been in, like, Atlanta.
It's, I'm actually going to London next week, and I love London. It's just, I feel really comfortable. I love the sense of humor. I love their quirkiness. I love the way they design, their houses. It's just, there's something about London that I just really connect with.
Well, there's a sense of history there, but I feel like there's also like countries that have been around long enough don't take themselves super seriously anymore because they can't.
Yeah. It's true. So
it's like a self-deprecatingness.
Such a fucking mess right now.
Oh, yes. The whole world is a mess. The last time I went to London, I was like, what? This is not how I remember things.
Even London is different. The whole world is pretty fucked up.
Having a hard time. But like the focus of, like we talk about this show too, is like sort of pre-millennium, those of us that grew up, in a world without the internet, like how we discovered things and how we discovered our like lifelong passions and stumbled upon things or had like the older sibling effect, which I did not have as I was the oldest. Were you guys like watching TV out there? Were you getting like the college radio stations or that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, I was watching a ton of TV. I mean, that's what you do, like, right? Like, it was, like 70s, 80s TV. Definitely watched a lot of that. I used to babysit a lot, and I would watch like The Love Boat and the Fantasy Island. It's funny because Fantasy Island really reminds me of some of my I do immersive theater too. So in some of like my Illuminati Ball, like I used to say, it's kind of like Fantasy Island. You come here and you live out your fantasy. And weird little characters. And I don't know, so definitely formed me.
I think people don't recognize how fucking weird Fantasy Island was. Like bonkers. Like, I'll just go sometimes read the descriptions of episodes and be like, yeah, that's bizarre. And this was a major hit in primetime on a network.
Yeah, it was. And actually, a lot of the stuff that was really bizarre was a lot of the stuff for kids growing up. I don't know if we're the same age. I'm probably a little older than you. I don't know, but
we're about the same age, I think. Yeah.
And so I, remember watching a lot of the Hanna-Barbera kind of stuff like that when I was little, and that stuff is fucking weird, like psychedelic. Those people were smoking a lot of weed.
Oh yeah. So you're talking about like the stuff where it'd be like Josie and the Pussycats, but like when they were in space, like when stuff got extra
I'm
weird.
talking about like the really like like the Boogaloos, I think it was called.
Oh, the Boogaloos, yep.
The Figment and the Sea Monster, and all of these, like there was the Boogaloos the one with their like musicians, and they wanted to be musicians, and they were fireflies.
Yep.
And then
that's
there was
the Boogaloo.
Witchy Poo, like there was the witch, and it was just weird, like characters. Like, and there was like the same team making all of these, like
Sid and Marty Kroft did all those.
Sid and Marty Kroft. Their stuff was so crazy. And actually, I just read that they're bringing back. I think they're doing a remake of Land of the Lost.
Yeah, again, they've done it. So they did it in the early '90s, and then they
did?
made that movie with Will Ferrell, which was like too. It was just like shitting on it too much. And
I didn't see that. I don't think. Yeah,
it's not great. The '90s one's pretty good, but the crazy thing about Land of the Lost, as like a sci-fi nerd, that was kind of at times like a weird, hard sci-fi show. There were like pocket universes and looped realities and like weird concepts.
Yeah, I mean, it was horribly like done, like so cheesy, terribly done, but it was really good. And there was also, a lot of the shows were kind of like that. Like sci-fi was pretty, like I was also a sci-fi nerd. I was really into Star Trek. I used to go to Star Trek conventions in Boston, and but yeah, and then even like there was Land of the Lost, and then there was like what was the one about the spaceship going into Lost in Space?
Space Nuts. Oh yeah, Lost in Space.
Yeah, that one was. I really liked that one too.
Very weird. Like they sort of grew out of the Westerns, and in a good way, where they were like, well, it's not really cool to be like, hey, there's native people, aren't they crazy and weird? Let's do that instead with space people and aliens, and we can be a little more metaphorical and not so on the nose.
Yeah. Like I haven't seen like any of those shows in a really, really long time. And I think watching them would be really funny because they were just, I remember them being wild. Some
of them hold up though. I mean, Harlan Ellison was writing for them. Like,
really?
Yeah, he wrote Star Treks. He wrote for a lot of these like weird little sci-fi shows at the time. Which is nuts. Like if you think about it,
it's so well written.
Yeah,
I mean, I had a major crush on Captain Kirk.
I think all women did.
And then I had a crush on the woman, like the psychiatrist woman from the Next Generation.
Oh, Donna Troy. Yes.
Yeah, I think she was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she had big hair and was a psychic. So who was not into that?
I kind of liked her. Like, she was my favorite on that one.
But it's so, like, as a horror fan and as, as I was reading comics and horror and, as a big Jack Kirby fan at the time, Star Trek was, like, too utopian for me.
Yeah.
Where it was like, I don't want everyone getting along in this whole one where, like, I want post-apocalypse. But now I've come to, like, appreciate it more.
And it's interesting because there's a lot of stuff that I think a lot of the British stuff from that time was much darker,
Yeah, like especially the kids stuff like Chalky, if you've ever seen that, or Children of the Stones, or
I haven't. Yeah, but like I know some children's stuff. Like what was the one with the little puppet character?
I can't think of the title.
You know what I mean? And it was like little dollhouse stuff, and it was an antique store. Oh my god! If they had that when I was little in this country, I would have flipped out.
Oh yeah, I love that. So Nickelodeon in the early 80s had a show they called The Third Eye, and it was an anthology show, but it was only an anthology show because they would buy these Australian and English sci-fi and kids shows, which were only like 6 episodes. So they would like run them, during the week. So I saw all that stuff. There was a weird Australian show called Round the Twist. They showed like the tripods.
You're so lucky that you got to see that,
Bizarre.
I wasn't watching a lot of TV, like, after, like, I think 85 on. I wasn't watching a ton of TV. And then, now I'm watching shows. Like, I'll watch a specific show. But, because there's, like, some amazing shows right now. Yeah.
Are you catching up on anything you missed when you were, like, not watching a lot of stuff? Are there things that you felt like were kind of holes?
That's a really interesting question. There have been some things that some people have said to me, like boyfriends in the past have said, did you see this? And I said, no, I haven't seen that. And they're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? You have to watch that. Now I can't remember what they are, but yes, there's things like that where I've had to watch like whole, many, many episodes of something that I haven't never really experienced.
Well, there's shows I would imagine, like, just from your, like, aesthetic and, like, knowing your work that I think you would like a show like Crime Story, if you've never seen it, which is Michael Mann. It's essentially Mad Men meets Miami Vice. It takes place in Chicago in the 60s. Dennis Farina's the head of this, like, this crime task force, and it's, like, just cool and weird. It was on for like 2 seasons in the mid 80s.
Cool. There's one show that I think that I maybe would have liked called Bones. When did that come out?
Bones was early 2000s. That's Hart Hanson is a friend of the show, but yeah, it's all, yeah, you would love Bones.
Right now I'm doing something with, actually in Hollywood, one of my stories is being made into animated film. And can't really talk about it too much. Yeah. But yeah, so the production company that it was involved in that first option in my book was the people who made Bones.
Oh, nice. Oh, I wonder if his heart was involved there. Yeah.
And I really, really like, that the whole forensics thing and that kind of,
So were you watching like Quincy as a kid or like that kind of forensic stuff?
No, I didn't watch any of that. Like they didn't have that kind of thing.
Or like the Night Stalker. Did you ever check that out when you were a kid?
No.
Oh, wow. No. See, that's another thing. Like, because like the Night Stalker is literally a news reporter who is a detective for monsters. This is early 70s.
What year?
70, 71, 72.
Really? I didn't remember that.
It's Darren McGavin, who was Dad in The Christmas Story, who's just like annoyed all the time, and no one believes him, and he's like, this guy's a vampire. Like, and then the show got really weird. Like at one point, Eric Estrada plays an Aztec god who people are like sacrificing virgins to in LA. There's a headless. They do a version of the Headless Horseman, but it's like a motorcyclist with no head.
So cool. I know there was a show for a while when I first learned to drive. I learned to drive late in life. I got a Plymouth Prowler.
Oh, nice.
It's like the purple car. And there was a show, I think it was called Knight Rider or something. There's a show called something where they used the Prowler as like the Batman type car.
Yeah. Yeah. Knight Rider with Hasselhoff. Yeah.
And everyone would say whenever I'm driving, like, oh my God, that looks like the car from that show.
And it's like totally lost on you. You're like, does it? This is a cool, like, or there was like HBO had a film pilot they made in the 90s called Cast a Deadly Spell, and it was a noir. The first one was set in the 40s, and it was like a noir LA where everyone used magic.
Oh, cool.
So it was very, very weird. It was almost like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but with like monsters.
Yeah. That sounds cool.
It bombed, but they made a sequel.
A list of things to watch because like I definitely have a big gap because once I was in art school, I was working so hard in art school and I don't even think I had a TV. I didn't even have a TV. And I would go to the Nickelodeon Theater. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. I love the Nickelodeon.
I would see just obscure things or foreign films and then later on I went to London and we just watched the weirdest shit we could find, like it wasn't stuff that you would see on regular TV.
Like tape trading kind of stuff?
Like Faces of Death. I remember my first husband, Adam, he was always trying, and his friends, they were always trying to gross me out and show me like the worst possible things, like the worst. And I remember, like Faces of Death and things like that. And let's just show Cynthia like the darkest things we can find out there.
Let's gross her out. Here's the R. Bud Dwyer video or something.
Yeah. So I watched a lot of that, like obscure, like I Spit on Your Grave and things like that,
Yeah. Last House on the Left and that kind of stuff.
That kind of stuff I watched later. I wasn't watching like what was on TV. I wasn't watching Friends.
No. In some ways more horrifying than Last House on the Left.
I had never even seen Friends until I don't even think I've even watched a full episode of Friends. Like that's not my kind of cup of tea.
Yeah, not missing much in my opinion. It's sort of become Gen Z's Brady Bunch, which is really weird. Because it's on all the time and they all know all the episodes. The weirdest thing about Faces of Death. So like 95% of that was faked. Shockingly, aside from the animal stuff, aside from the monkey thing, which is gross. But
I thought some of it was like the old footage from like to scare kids when
from there was a series of auto scare movies. The one called Red Asphalt that had real accidents in it, which is ridiculous because they filmed these goofy sketches and then would show actual accidents. So some guy's job was to be like, oh, here's a dead guy on the street. Let me write a funny sketch about how he got here.
I remember in Faces of Death, it was like that. Did they ever show that on TV?
No, not
No,
in
I
the
don't
US.
think
And they
so.
were banned in the UK.
Oh, really? I remember like there's one scene because all my friends we were watching it and everyone would sleep, but I was mesmerized by it. And there was that one scene where they're like, look straight, like it was a car accident.
Yeah.
And they're like, look into his face of death. And then they like close up on it, on the face, like burning in the car. And it was like, oh my God, this is awful.
The first two of those movies for years were in the top 5 highest grossing movies in Japan.
Really?
Biggest box office hits in Japan. They're actually made by Japanese companies.
They are?
Yeah,
Wow,
those first two
that doesn't
movies.
surprise me.
It's so weird that whole like fake Mondo movie.
Yeah,
sort of
they make
weird.
even now they make some pretty dark stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, Tetsuo, you've probably seen the Iron Man.
Yeah.
Because the Nickelodeon was, they would show weird stuff, and they were also a test theater.
Were they?
So they would do test screenings of movies there often.
Speaking of where I grew up, Pittsfield was a test city.
Oh wow.
It was considered like a typical American city. And it was like, so whenever they had new products, like, cereals and things like that, we were always getting everything first. It was a test city.
Do you remember one that like caught on later that you were like, yeah, I had that first?
I had everything. We had every fucking toy. Because I'm from a family of 6 and there were a lot of kids. So I've seen every toy, you know what I mean? Like,
You were right in the middle too, right?
I was right in the middle. Yeah. So if it wasn't my toy, eventually it would became mine. Or I saw it so I have a really wide range of, from my little sister who was really into Pee-wee's Playhouse to, you know what I mean? To my older brother who was really into Star Trek.
Right. So you had a good exposure to that stuff. And like,
yeah,
Pee-wee is, I mean, for a lot of reasons amazing, but you have like all those great underground artists like Gary Panter and people who were like doing art for this kids show that was like exposing stuff they would never get exposed to.
It was brilliant. I remember my sister, she liked that. And she also liked Gem and the Gem and the
Gem and
Explosion?
the Holograms. Yeah.
Gem and the Holograms. And I had some of the dolls. My ex-husband had some of the dolls. So we packed a suitcase for the doll to go visit my sister when she was a little kid. It was, the Pee-wee was amazing. And I think he really got shafted.
Oh yeah.
He didn't. So what? He was he went and he jerked off in a movie theater. Who cares?
Right.
That's what you're supposed to do in those movie theaters.
Right. That's what I was saying. Not even a movie theater, like a movie theater for those movies. Like that's people of that generation. That's what you did.
It's like, what did he do wrong? He did nothing. He wasn't hurting children. He wasn't so he was gay?
Yeah.
Who cares?
I think that's what it was about. People certainly were looking for any excuse to take people down, especially if they were doing kid stuff. The kid stuff that was beloved and subversive and weird. Which I think people instantly are like, we can't have this. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it was subversive. I mean, I guess it was weird, but it was so wholesome and cute. And
absolutely.
He was I don't know. He was amazing. I saw his Broadway play. He had a play. I think it was on Broadway or somewhere. He came in maybe 20 years ago, and I saw his play. It was really good.
Yeah, he did the Pee Wee Herman show again. It was the original one he did at the Roxy in LA in the early 80s. He did the version in New York. Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah.
It's unbelievable that he came from that so as I said, we're about the same age. We're like the generation after this of his generation, which was, I think, that first generation of people that grew up with post-World War II pop culture and then started making their own culture. So they sort of regurgitated these 50s aesthetic and weird children's stuff mixed with, art and punk and all this bizarre stuff. And that stuff just clicked so much with me. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I think that's true. I think that it's true what you're saying, that all of our art comes from what we grew up with.
Because that's where your formative thing is. So did any of your siblings go into the arts, or was it just you?
My youngest sister, she went into fashion, and she went to art school, and then she's doing designing textiles and products and things like that.
That's the Gem fan.
Yes. Yes. The one who had I remember buying her cherry from, the chair from Herman, and so she's designing chairs and fabrics and pillows and bedspreads and things like that.
Do you know Britta Phillips at all from the band Luna?
I know the band Luna, but no, I don't know.
She's the bass player. She did all the singing, all the songs in Gem. She was the singing voice.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
She was like 19 and she was like, yeah, I was in New York. I did like 2 days. I did all the songs.
I know Kay Hanley did a lot of stuff like that. When she moved, after she left Boston, she moved to LA. And I know she did, but was it 90210? Like,
Yeah, it was Melrose Place. Letters to Cleo had that song Here and Now was a big hit on, but then Kay wrote and was the singing voice for the Josie and the Pussycats movie.
That's right. I loved her. And she was once a guest in my show as a nurse, an enema nurse, and we made out on stage.
That sounds right. Yeah.
She was sweet. She was really sweet. Very talented, amazing singer.
Oh yeah, and again, gone into children's programming after that. Like there's I can't think it's the show's called Doc McStuffins or something, but she's one of the few people I know that appeared in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. She was on the Care Bears float singing a song that she wrote for the show.
That's so funny. See, I was doing children's books stuff back then. Even when I was doing Woman of Sodom, I was illustrating children's books.
Because that was your first love, right? Wasn't that kind of the first thing you did?
Yeah, when I went to college, that was my major, was children's books. Just because I, like a big kid, I love like children's stuff, like weird children's stuff, dark stuff. And but then I started doing illustration and I became a very well-known illustrator. And then I started getting approached by people for my own stories. And now I only really do my own stories. I don't really, I do a little illustration, but not so much. More just my own, I'll illustrate my own things.
Well, you don't have to. Like, that's you only would do other people's stuff at this point, like, if you really wanted to, right? It wouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think that I noticed that as an illustrator, like, the writer always was king. And so the writer would, like, I'm like, well, then I want to be the writer.
Right. Right.
Like, if the writer's getting the number one billing, like, now people are illustrating my books, It's, like, a little weird. But, and now I'm finding out this is the same thing with directing. The director is king.
Yeah.
The story, they're like, okay, you wrote the story, here's your money, go away.
Right. Except in television, where it's still kind of the writer's medium, weirdly, and like episodic TV.
I think that the girl who called Cthulhu, the girl who series, Minky Woodcock series, I think it would be a great TV series. And
100%.
That's the next thing I want to do. Like, I've actually had interest in it being made into a TV series. So, like, that's something I want to approach. Like, maybe write a screenplay for it.
And that is a good point, because it brings me to another thing I wanted to mention too, is like liking all this stuff growing up, like sci-fi and, knowing who HP Lovecraft was, or, I recall going to Brown as a kid. I couldn't read Reanimator. You could not find a copy of it. And so I went to Brown's library and they got it out and I read it I had to read it there with the gloves on.
Wow, that's so cool.
But it's so weird to me now that we live in this world where all of that stuff is mainstream now, and you can sell a show about a detective and this stuff on a mainstream network. Like, I imagine, like me, that's a strange thing to reconcile for you, to see all these people knowing this stuff, for how it's sort of mainstream. Yeah,
I think I kind of love that. like, I really sort of I was an early adopter of the internet, and I really, like, I can't even remember the time before it, like,
right.
And I just really love that you can I'm a really curious person. So I love I used to just ask questions, like question, always asking questions. And I had to be dating the smartest person I could find, because they could answer my questions.
Right.
And my ex-husband was super smart. My current husband is super smart. But now all I have to do is look it up, and it makes research. I don't think I could have done these books without that. Because I remember, you going to the library. I was working on my Speakeasy Dollhouse project about my family, and I had to go to the New York Public Library and go through the microfilm. You know what I mean? We used to have to do shit like that.
Yeah.
And I forget. I personally forget sometimes. I'm so living in the future. I'm living in the present. But yeah, we had it. It was different. But I think growing up, we had, I think it was better with not having the internet then. I feel like we're getting the best of both worlds. We're getting it as adults, but not having it as children, we had to be more creative. Mm-hmm. And we had to make up our own stories and our own games. And I think that, just riding our bikes around suburbia, playing games with our friends. Like we used to play Ghost in the Graveyard and all that stuff with all the friends, and like we would make our own games out in the outside all day long. You've heard that thing about on TV, right? Like where are your kids? It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like that.
Do you know where your children are?
Yeah, that was my family. Like they'd go out. It would be like calling your dog in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
the lights are on. Get in here. Anyone bleeding? Is everyone all right?
It's like, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, we as kids, especially as like creative, curious people, there was an aspect of reverse engineering stuff we liked. Like, it comes up on this show a lot where like people I know would watch shows with their parents or their family and watch their family watch the shows and kind of reverse engineer reactions. Like, why are they laughing at this? They seem scared at this. Why is this working? And you're kind of figuring out how stories work or how structure works, whether, not even on purpose. Because you kind of have to. And things stick with you more. There's, when you think you might never see a thing again, you soak it in and you're invested. Like I always, this is my old man talk where I'll complain, but I'm like, if we rented a movie or you bought an album and you hated it, you listened to or watched that thing till you liked it, or you at least listen to the whole thing because you're like, I spent $5 on this, or I spent $10 on this, instead of just like next. And I'm grateful for that because there's like some of my favorite things I probably would have dumped if I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's true. Like we consumed things more deeply in some ways because it was harder to get.
Yeah.
Right. And we had to really seek out cool things. Like, right? Like it didn't just land in our inbox, like, or on social media. We had to really, I remember just being so bored growing up where I grew up that I wanted to like seek out like the weirdest music I could find. And that was what, the weirdest kind of clothing I could find that I couldn't find in the stores where I was. Like I had to order it. I remember mail being really amazing. Like just stuff in the mail. Like I get all these catalogs and stuff because I could order things that you can't buy in stores where I grew up.
It was kind of magical. Like, I remember I had to take 2 buses and a train to get Eraserhead. I rented it at like Videosmith and then had to like take 2 buses and a train the next day to take it back.
Yeah.
Like, if you remember that store, Hubba Hubba.
Yes. I had friends. Yeah. I did modeling for them.
Oh, that makes sense. They had like bank hours. They were open like 4 hours a week or something. It was like the weirdest hours. I remember as a kid.
They were my hours. They were open during my hours. That time, like, for you. 10 p.m.
Yeah. And I was like, I want to go get a studded belt and a Stooges shirt. That's the only place I can go. So I have to go there. Yeah. Hopefully they're open. And then there's like wall of dildos. And then like, well,
you're lucky you had that. See, where I grew up, we didn't have anything like that.
Right.
Like, it was like you had that because you were in Boston.
Right.
Like there was nothing like that.
Yeah. But
and everybody was so like wholesome and like I just did not fit in.
Yeah. It's that's the other thing I miss a little bit. And this sounds a little bit elitist, but like, if you ran into someone who had seen something you liked, like you're like, oh, you've seen Repo Man? We're friends. Or, someone has blue hair or a studded belt. You're like, we probably like the same stuff. Like you would just kind of know, which is you
needed to signal that with how you dressed.
Right.
You needed to signal like what you were into sort of. Which is a weird shift now. Well, not even for the last 25 years really, but like the cashier at Target's got like pink hair or a studded belt. Yeah.
And it's weird to be like, oh, the cultural signifier of that is no longer valid.
Yeah. Yeah. True. You got to go way more extreme.
I guess I wouldn't even know what it would be at this point.
It's like putting the ink in your eyes so your eyes are complete. All the whites of your eyes are black.
Like completely black. Yeah, that would.
Yeah,
be,
like that's crazy.
Oh, that would hurt. I imagine that would be very painful.
Not good for you.
No, like scleral lenses and all that kind of stuff, but just permanent.
That's the one thing I wouldn't go there. I actually have no tattoos, believe it or not.
Me either. I'm like the only one in my family that doesn't, or that I know that doesn't. Yeah, not a one.
Yeah. See, I remember my dad was he was in the Navy, and he used to say like he had no tattoos. He's like, everybody wanted me to get tattoos, and I said no, like no tattoos. So I grew up thinking that tattoos were, like not thing that you'd want to have. Like smoking wasn't good, and tattoos weren't good. Like just because of my dad.
My dad was also in the Navy, and it was a similar thing.
Really? Because everybody was doing it, and my dad was not a conformist.
Yeah.
And probably your dad wasn't either. Like, and that's why we're not.
Yeah, it was like, there's nothing I can think of art-wise I'd want to have on me forever.
Yes.
I was like,
I think that's an artist thing. Like, people couldn't believe it, especially when I was in the band Woman of Sodom. Like, people were like, oh, you have no tattoos? What? No piercings? Why don't you want any piercings? I'm like, well, I mean, I did have my nose pierced for a while. I did it myself. But like, I didn't have any crazy piercings. And it's just like, what am I like? I things change. I lose interest in stuff. Like, I don't want to have a picture of something. I know that in a year I'm going to have a different picture that I want.
Right.
Unless you do, like, I like whole tattoo. Like, I like either all or nothing. Like, not a little rose. Like, you either tattoo yourself like a tattooed woman, or you do none.
You're going carnival, or you're not doing it at all. You're committing to this. Is there any character or anything that you would want to write that isn't yours? Like, immediately when you're talking about Archie and that stuff, I'm like, well, obviously, like, Wonder Woman and the, like, infamously was sort of grew out of an S&M stuff, or without us knowing really growing up. Were there any of those characters from, like, your childhood that you'd be like, I think I have a good take on those?
That's a really interesting idea. I've never like sort of sought out Marvel or DC. Like, I could do work for them, but I'm not really interested in that. Like, I kind of want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing is different. It's more like the old pulp stuff.
Yeah.
It's very different. But I really am interested I would love to write a James Bond novel, like, story. And actually the Girl Called Cthulhu has Ian Fleming in it. And it actually is sort of a little bit of a James Bond story. But I think like something like that. I would like to write a Star Trek episode, things like that. I don't know. I just like I really want to explore my own ideas. Like, I think Illuminati Ball would make a great reality TV show.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the people who did Project Runway and Top Chef, and they were interested. But it's just too weird. But then Squid Game comes out, right? And like, I'm watching Squid Game, I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of like the Illuminati Ball. Like, but people aren't dying, at least. But
that's where you lost them. People weren't dying.
Some people, like, animals die. The animal humans die. Yeah. But like, some of it was really like the VIPs and all of that. Like, it's just like, what is this? This is like watching my own thing. But I don't know. I feel like I'm always looking forward and like what would be the new thing to do. But that, I don't know. Like, I would love to do a stop motion remake of like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, maybe.
Oh, like in the Rankin Bass style?
Like, I mean, it's the stuff that I would want to do is pretty maybe out there, like, but
that's what's fascinating about it. Like, you're like, oh, Illuminati Ball, Rudolph, like, what? I'm like, that's the
weird thing about me, because I'm like a child. I love the childhood things, but I also like really adult, and I like smashing those two things together. And the graphic novel I'm working on now that's being made into a film is very much like that.
But it's sort of culture sort of caught up with you in that way, though. Like, I think of, again, speaking of Archie, which I don't know if you saw Riverdale at all.
I did. I saw some of it. I liked it.
Like, who would have thought that would be a mainstream television show of like dark Archie, in our lifetime?
I would have loved that when I was a little kid. Oh my God. I would have loved Riverdale. Yeah. It's a little too young for me now. Like, when I was watching it, I was like, there's some shows like that where you're watching them and you're like even Wednesday. I was like, I would have loved this when I was
15.
Younger.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I can't really watch it now. It's like, but.
I always have the problem where the thing you have when you're a young person or a teenager where like everything's life or death and the biggest deal ever, and adults are like, this isn't gonna matter, and you're like, fuck you, yes it will, what are you talking about? But now I'll watch something like Riverdale and they'll be like, he kissed another girl. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, it's not a big deal, kid. So it's like really hard for me to like get into it.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that Yeah, that happens a lot.
One
Yeah.
of the
Like, I like to listen to music that I listened to, like, I don't know, like ages ago, like back when I was in London, and like I used to love it. Like I was like, I'll never not love this music. And now if I put the Cocteau Twins on, I'm like, what?
yeah, I can't look into this. Yeah, this isn't even in a real language. What is happening? Which, side note, have you ever heard Adrian Borland's band, The Sound?
No.
So I am like, feel the need to spread the gospel of this band to everyone I would think would like them. He ended up dying by suicide in the early 2000s, but he started the band in the 70s, and I always describe them as sounding like the reputation Joy Division has.
Oh, wow.
Amazing, just great songwriter, like just amazing. Did about 6 albums. For some reason, no one's ever heard of him. They were on Warner Brothers, like it's this weird black hole, and I'm like, amazing artist.
It's weird how that sometimes happens. Like someone's just so talented, and you think that they,
or you just go like, to me, it's like that weird alternate reality feeling of like, this has been around for 30 years and it came out 30 years ago and it's everything I love and I'm just finding it now. Like, how did that not come across my desk?
Yeah, that is like, that's sad when that happens.
Oh, totally.
It's good. You eventually find it, but.
One of my strangest experiences was I was running a Q&A at a Comic-Con for the cast of Riverdale. And it was me and Molly Ringwald, Skeet Ulrich, and KJ Apa, the kid who plays Archie. And he's like 19 and from Australia. And the day before I'd interviewed Andrew McCarthy, and we were talking about how he gave Molly Ringwald a 6-foot-tall Gumby while they were making Pretty in Pink as like because he liked her. So I brought that up. And KJ Apa's like, what's Gumby? And I realized, so then it was 10 minutes of me, Skeet Ulrich, and Molly Ringwald trying to explain Gumby to a 19-year-old from Australia, which I think was the most difficult thing I've ever tried to do in my life. We did not succeed.
Yeah. It's so funny how sometimes these pop culture things are so just like, that's what's so popular?
Right. And you're like, Gumby, he's made of clay. And Skeet Ulrich's just yelling, I'm Gumby, damn it. And this kid's like, what? I don't understand what this is. But even that, like the kids program we were talking about, like there's scary parts in Gumby. Gumby's bizarre, is going into the books, like it's surreal. What was
Gumby supposed to be? Like, was he like clay?
He was made of clay.
But what was he? Was he like a pencil eraser?
No, he was like, he had no like real world equivalent. He was just Gumby. Yeah. Everyone else was like, it's Pokey's a horse. Like, I guess
you could kind of describe Gumby being, kind of like SpongeBob, kind of.
Sort of.
Like SpongeBob's so like, blah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like a weird thing. Like, I don't know. I guess that's a sponge though, and Gumby was nothing.
Yeah, just like a bizarre thing. And for a while, I was researching a book on Art Clokey, who's the guy who created Gumby, but also did Davey and Goliath.
I was going to mention Davey and Goliath. He did David and Goliath?
He did those 2 shows. Like, so
was
bizarre.
He religious?
I don't know. As far as I could tell, he wasn't. He was just kind of like the Mormons were basically like, hey, we want to do a kid show. And he's like, okay, how about I do this? Which is why
David Goliath was a Mormon?
Yeah, I think it was the Mormons.
Wait,
or the Lutherans. Lutherans.
I remember watching it and just be like, just for the animation part of it and hating the rest of it. Like, this is stupid. And then you wait for that. And same thing with like, what was the neighborhood one?
Sesame Street?
The guy in the blue sweater.
Oh, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. I also really didn't care so much for him, but I really loved the animated part.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to pay attention, but then as soon as the little train comes by and you go into this other world.
Land of make-believe, yeah. Which, who made a lot of the shorts for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is George Romero.
Really?
Because he's a Pittsburgh guy. They shot that in Pittsburgh, and he had like a Pittsburgh film company, so he shot shorts.
I did see the movie. The movie was really good.
Oh, with Tom Hanks? Or the documentary?
Was it a documentary? I think it was a documentary, yeah. That came out recently, not too long ago. I thought that was really interesting. Like, he was a pretty cool guy. Like, he really was, special guy. Even though when I was little, I found him a little bit too sweet, but...
I always say in the show there's sort of 3 phases in life. There's like being a little kid loving Mr. Rogers. being older and thinking it's stupid and making fun of him, and then being even older where you love what he did and feel bad for making fun of it. It's like this weird journey.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel. Like, right? Like, yeah, those three things. Like, I think I liked it when I was little. Like, but then I was like, I'm too old for this. This is stupid.
Yeah, he's so dumb. But like, as a devout atheist, I always appreciate when there are people who are religious who have this, like, the true sort of messaging of that without being like creed, and like he's the perfect person for that. Where it's just like, hey, don't be an asshole. Be nice to everyone. Everyone has value and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
I had Francois Clemens on the show, who was Officer Clemens, the black cop who he washes his feet in the pool with and that thing.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Fascinating guy, like an out of the closet, very gay guy when he was that character, and a black guy in the 60s. And he didn't want to be a cop. He's like, it's 1969. You want, and I'm 24, black guy, and you want me to be a cop?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And hearing how like Fred Rogers dealt with that and navigated that and supported him was.
I know.
amazing.
I think it's amazing. I feel like probably like Pee-wee, like Paul Rubens probably also was really into that show. Like when he was little, maybe, because it seemed like his show was kind of like that, but like on acid.
Yes.
give Mr. Rogers acid, and then you got Pee-wee.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you get the stuff like the Sid Marty Kroft stuff we were talking about at the beginning here, like fitting that in there, and like this sort of weird kids world of just bizarre things that, like, for whatever reason, I feel like all kids are hardwired to like monsters. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like
Monsters
anything with
are cool.
monsters, they're like great.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're watching now? Like anything that you're really enjoying, or you just kind of
Right. Well, I mean, actually, right now, I just finished watching all 3 Squid Games because I watched the first one when it first came out and loved it. And then I didn't watch it again. I tried to watch it maybe a year ago, and I wasn't into the first one. And then we decided, okay, let's just watch it. So I watched it, and it was really good. Actually, I thought that it got better over did you see it?
Yes. Yeah.
So I just watched that. I'm watching something called Patchinko, which is interesting. It's Japanese, Korean, and American.
Okay.
It's like a interesting show. Like I really love foreign stuff. So,
but the fact that we can get these foreign shows, like,
yeah, and it's on Netflix, I think.
Like insane. Like I remember again hunting down stuff. Maybe it's subtitled, maybe it isn't. I'm going to Chinatown. I'm trying to find movies. Like
I think it's really good though, because I think it is making people more culturally aware. Like the people who watch like not everybody's going to watch things that are subtitled, but for the people who do, it is making people more aware of like other cultures, and like Korean culture has become so huge in this country, and that's a new thing.
Yeah, it's weird that that's become the prominent sort of Asian media. Like I don't know if you saw Extraordinary Attorney Woo, that Korean show. So good. It's
really?
It's about a lawyer with autism, but it's really well done and smart and funny and sweet and weird. And I recommend it to everybody. But I'm a show like this would not get made in the U.S. Like you couldn't make this show here. It's like such a unique form of that sort of thing. But who knows where it would be. And then the other thing I wanted to mention too is like, your thoughts on this. Like, how strange is it that like Drag Race is like the biggest pop culture phenomenon? Like there are people whose like dads and uncles love this thing that I feel like 30 years ago would have been just like, get these out of my neighborhood. And I know people who are like, oh, my grandpa loves Drag Race. Really?
Wow. I think it's great. I'm glad that it's not really for me. I mean,
it's not my thing either.
I know so many of those, I've been watching that stuff for years. It's not anything new, but I guess they've never seen it.
Right.
So they're just first coming to see this kind of thing, and it seems very like new to them, but not to us. But yeah, I actually we were rewatching Mad Men recently. My husband started watching it, and so I started watching it again, and that's such a good show.
I accidentally got a scoop on the finale on this show, and with a massive spoiler at one point, and I I watched the first season and a half and then kind of dropped off and watched it later. But in the finale, the guy Alan Havey, who comes in and like takes over the company, he's a stand-up, and I've known for years, and I had him on the show. And when I had him on, he had just filmed that finale. He's like, "Oh, well, I just filmed the finale of Mad Men," which was like a massive spoiler that he came back, and people were emailing me like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "Oh, is that a huge?"
That's hilarious. Wow.
Like a weird thing there. But you love like stuff set in a period seems to be appeals to you in a certain way, right? Like period pieces.
I do. I really love those, all of the British masterpiece theater bullshit stuff. I eat that stuff up. I love it. I've always loved it. I mean, that's the kind of book that like people are like, do you read Agatha Christie? And I'm like, no, I've read like every British, like, I don't know, like Jane Austen and the Brontes and all of that,
upstairs, downstairs kind of stuff.
I eat that stuff up. I love it. And even some of the American stuff, like I just like those things. But the British people do it so much better.
Yeah.
Like Gilded Age is kind of shit compared to like if that was done in England, it would be so much better.
I think the class structure is so more ingrained in that stuff that you can't. American stories, even with the Gilded Age, it's like, well, the class is different and it's about 10 years difference. It's like, we're talking thousands here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's true. It's true. It's very much been going on for forever. Yeah. What else have I been watching? What have you been watching?
I've sort of been catching up on some older stuff, and I've been watching just like a lot of Chinese movies lately.
Really? Cool.
I love Donnie Yen. I don't know if you know Donnie Yen, who grew up in Chinatown in Boston, weirdly.
Really?
And is like the biggest movie star in the world, everywhere but the U.S.
Seriously? He's American?
Yeah. His mother, who's still alive, is Master Bo Sim Mak. She teaches Kung Fu in Chinatown in Boston. He was a B-boy breakdancer in Chinatown in Boston in the 80s. And
holy crap.
His mother made him move to Hong Kong because triads, which were in Chinatown and Boston, would like try to shake people down who were making money on the street, and he would like beat the shit out of the triad guys. And she's like, "You need to go out of here for a while." So he went to Hong Kong and became like a massive star. And he's been writing and directing and starring in a few movies over the last few years, and they're really good.
Oh wow, that sounds cool.
So I've been loving those. I'm trying to think of new stuff I got. Like the last show I got really into, and it's 15 years old now, is Fringe, which I don't know if you've seen, but I think you would love.
I didn't see it.
It's sort of a procedural sci-fi show with mad scientists, and it takes place at Harvard.
That's cool. I was watching Yellow Jackets for a while.
Oh yeah, everyone loved that. I haven't seen it.
It was cool. It got like over time, it got kind of a little bit. It lost me, but in the beginning, it was good.
It's weird, like as a storyteller, and I don't know if you've noticed this on those shows where we've gotten better about they have like finite series. They're like, we know we have 13 episodes, so we can tell a story. But as me, if I'm trying to write something and they're like, okay, we want you to tell a coherent story, but we don't know when it's going to end. So you have to keep it open-ended, but keep it interesting still. And I'm like, that's so hard. Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, honestly, that's what I've had to do with the Minky Woodcock series. It's like spans all these different decades, and I kind of like it because I'm writing it as I go, and there's a whole beast plot about her mother, and it's just keeps coming back, and the B plot keeps getting more interesting. So I think in certain stories that can work. Certain stories, it's just like, okay, this is it. It's one story. That's the end. But
because you're sort of discovering, are you the kind of writer that discovers that yourself as you're writing? Like it sort of falls into place and you're finding that stuff? I
am. Yeah, totally. But I left I think there's ways of writing, and I think I learned that by watching some of the TV series about how, like some really good TV series where you have all these different the B plot and the A plot and the C thing, whatever and once you get one started, you don't have to go all the way there. You can keep it kind of open-ended, and then you can come back and reveal more of that. And I think that that's something that TV has done lately that's really like kind of interesting in order to keep your interest. But it's also interesting for the writer because the writer gets to figure it out on the same way too. And I think that eventually you kind of you feel like, okay, I'm done now.
Right. There's nowhere else to go with this.
I feel like I could keep doing these, forever. Like I was even thinking of having Minky's like have a baby and the baby, like, so I can go into the future.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like there's so many stories that can be written. I don't know. I feel like they've just come pouring out of me.
That's amazing, though, to have, like, you can put little mysteries for yourself or put breadcrumbs for yourself to come back later and discover, like, your own, what was I thinking here?
Yeah. Well, I think that when you write something and you're living in that world, like, that's the most fun part of it is when you're writing it and you're living in that world and I'm not in my own world anymore and I'm there and I want to go back. You know, like if I want to go back, then usually other people will want to too, because you care about it. Like if you're writing it and you care about it, like you want to go back. So I think once you get to the point where you don't want to go back, that's when you need to stop.
Is there a historical figure that you found fascinating that you wanted to put in one of those in your stories, and then you start researching them and you're like, no?
Well, Lovecraft
yes.
Lovecraft, I was like, oh my God, like
what a
going
racist
into
weirdo.
I don't mind him being a weirdo, but he was he was a racist and he was
women.
like Hitler.
Yep.
He was just like he was so many ways he was awful. But I reveal that in the book.
Yeah.
And I do some pretty horrible things to him to make him pay for that.
Yeah.
But I think that like that he was an example. Like I don't want to like write a book about this guy. But then I figured, okay, well, I'll just take him down.
He's a like because his mythology and horror is perfectly aligned with his racism and misogyny. Like it's of the same theme. But, you know, it's scared of old things, scared of old religions, scared of the other. You know, but for some reason is easier to separate with him because you're like, there's sort of primal fears, but also he was coming at it from a like, well, these Italians like to eat eels and I don't like it. You know, like whatever.
It smells bad. I can't live in this squalor.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, he was obviously a really traumatized person and he had nightmares, and I also suffer from nightmares and, you know, from trauma and whatever. So part of me is like, I understand he's got trauma. He's really afraid. He never traveled. He was really like, I think traveling really opens people's mind up and makes you less afraid. Like had he traveled, he maybe would have been, and I think a lot of the people who support Trump, like if they travel and realize, I've been to Ecuador, those people are lovely.
Yeah, they're like me. Like, people are the same.
Yeah, we're all the same. They're not out to get you or anything. They're not, And I think that had he traveled, and I think travel should be like in Europe, people travel. Like in Amsterdam, you get a stipend as a student to go travel. And like our country is so separate because we're way over here and people don't travel enough,
Yeah. I mean, some of it's economic. Some of it's, when I lived in England trying to explain to people that the US is massive and it's like 50 different countries. There's a saying I bring up all the time on the show, and I first heard it from Alan Moore, but I don't think he came up with it. But it's that, in England, 100 years, in America, 100 years is a long time, and in England, 100 miles is a long distance. And I'm like, yes, that's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's all experience and exposure. So yeah, I love the new story, and I'll put links for everyone to check that out there. The next thing you're working on is the TV show or movie that cannot be discussed, I imagine.
Yeah, I've been a story consultant on it, and so I've spent the last 2 years working on that, and now like they hired a director, and so they're going to take over, and so I have to do the graphic novel for it, because I'm going to do that like in my own way. So it'll be different from the film. So I've got to do the graphic novel. There's actually 2 stories, so I don't know which one I'm going to do, but I'm working on that. And then a few other things.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk to me. This has been great.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Thanks so much, Ken.
There you go. That's Cynthia. Absolutely pick up at least the new Mindy Woodcock Girl Called Cthulhu. But the Tesla one's great. They're all very good. I think there's 4 4 or 5 of them. You can get them anywhere comic books are sold or any bookstore, or you can go to Titan Books. I put links in the show description here. If you can't find it, just email me, tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or ken@icanread.com. Go on the social media, the Patreon, all the things. What a summer. Hope you guys are hanging in there and doing okay. I'm, keep on keeping on. But anyway, I'll be here next week, so I hope you will too, for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.
What was Gumby supposed to be? Like, was he like clay? But what was he? Was he like a pencil eraser?